and welcome back. The topic for today is recognition. And during the early 1990s, I was a director in the information technology division of United Airlines. And I definitely felt like my career was progressing. And one day, several of my employees came to me with an idea of doing away with paper tickets in the airline and instead using electronic ticketing. And at that time, the idea of a paperless environment was not considered in most industries. So I took their idea and I took it through the approval process, and it didn't get approved. So I went back and gathered some other employees and asked them if they could get their work done in a little less time and with a little less money than estimated. And of course, employees want to please the boss. And so they said, sure, we can do that. So that left me free to do the electronic ticketing system. So I really didn't tell any higher ups or anything. We just proceeded to do it. And when it was done, we put it in several airports as a pilot, and it went over extremely well. So then I started selling it to 14 other airlines, mostly international airlines, because that would help spread the use of electronic ticketing everywhere. We call the system e-ticket. And then it was nominated to be one of the top 5 technology endeavors during that year when we implemented it. And it was placed in the Smithsonian Permanent Research Collection of Information Technology at the National Museum of American History. A really big deal. And then there was a huge gala to celebrate these 5 top technology endeavors in Washington, D.C. And I was the representative that went there for United Airlines. Now, we didn't get the number 1 top award. HP got it that year. But still, we were one of the top 5 and in the Smithsonian. Like I said, a big deal. Then in 1994, I was elected or selected to be Woman of the Year of United Airlines for the YWCA organization. And the YWCA organization held a big event in New York City every year and celebrated the women from all the different companies. So my husband couldn't go. I could take one guess. My husband couldn't go. And so I took my mom. And what a thrill to have mom be there with me. We stayed in a fancy hotel, and mom got to see me and applaud me walking back and forth across the stage as my name was announced. And everybody, was clapping and applauding, except, I must say, I did notice the women seemed, especially from my company, extremely happy and positive. But I did notice some frowns upon the men's faces sitting at the tables in the audience, almost with looks of boredom. But I wasn't going to let that mar my day or the excitement or mom's happiness. And then later that year, it seemed, everything was just happening for me. All of a sudden, after, years of working so hard. Later that year, I was named acting CIO, Chief Information Officer for United Airlines. And I was thrilled. I mean, that is the highest achievement, in a technology career in a company. So I was just thrilled. And I felt totally comfortable in the role. I could use my left brain and right brain, which I talked about, being very analytical and making good decisions, as well as being collaborative, supporting my thousands of employees, and giving them awards and having special events for them. So I was really in my element. Now, I would say only one thing was kind of nagging at me. And that was, whenever I'd go into the big meetings and so on, I never felt part of the good old boys club. And I wasn't, And that makes me think back to Jennifer Palmieri's book, She Proclaims, and how I interpreted her saying is that women are never going to fit into a system made for men. And that's certainly how I felt. But anyway, I tried to ignore that as much as I could and just enjoy the position, which I really did. Um, and I could have done several things even at that point. I could have done what some people might consider bragging. We talked about that a little bit before. As I was feeling like I was not being recognized by the good old boys club, I could have provided them with more information and said things like, gentlemen, the computer systems are really running well, and we have had fewer problems than we have had in years and years. Something like that, letting them know at least how I felt things were going. But again, I didn't do that. I just kind of tried to ignore not feeling part of the good old boys club. Now for the 3 questions for this video. Question 1, do you think women are adequately recognized for their accomplishments? And if they're not recognized for their accomplishments, why do you think this is so? Question 2, do you think the good old boys club mentality is still prevalent in corporate America? And question 3, how do you think women compare to men in terms of leadership skills? And do you think women lead only 10% of Fortune 500 companies today because they lack good leadership skills? With that, the next video is going to be smacking up against the glass ceiling. Thank you for listening, and hopefully I'll see you next week.